to talk hockey. I needed a person that was solid in the field, that knew what they were talking about, and recognizes great music when they hear it. And he is that guy. Jay Zawaski, ladies and gentlemen, is joining the show. I am trying to fire up my. This happens every time. There we go. There we go. Oh yeah. Here we go. Good stuff here, buddy. Jay Zawaski is one of the members of CHGO and their Chicago Blackhawk coverage. He joins us now by way of Zoom. I haven't seen Jay's face in so long. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. It's great to see you and talk to you again, man. It's been too long.
It's been way too long. And last time we had all kinds of weird problems. I think everything is aligned this time.
Seems like it.
With our setup. The Chicago Blackhawks, man, what is going on? Why am I liking this so much? And considering that just a few months ago, pretty much this same team just didn't. They're so young and it wasn't clicking. But the skating is fluid. They're really strong defensively, stronger than they were last year. And Spencer Knight seems to be doing the work. What am I watching, and why am I liking this so much?
Well, I think the name you just mentioned is a huge part of it. Spencer Knight has been unbelievable. One of the top 5 goalies in hockey this year. And he's kept the Hawks in some games that probably they don't have any business being in. I think last night's would have been a prime example of that. The way they played in the second period, they probably should have been down 2 or 3 goals, but he kept them in it. And they started a third, tied 0-0, and said, all right, brand new game. Let's start fresh, new slate. And they went on to win 5-2. So really strong third period. So he's been, if we're talking about players on the ice and their direct impact, Spencer Knight's been number one. But I think bringing in a coach like Jeff Blashill, who has coached in the NHL before, who has served as an assistant under some of the best coaches in the game, brought in some of the most respected assistants in the game to come to Chicago with him, he's made a huge difference. And I think that there was a little bit of a disconnect with Luke Richardson and Anders Sorensen over the last couple of years, where those guys were learning how to be head coaches while trying to develop talent. Jeff Flash already knows how to do this. He's done it. So now he can just focus on implementing his systems and letting his players be who they are. And I think that's the thing he's been the best at, is he identifies, okay, this guy's really fast. This guy's really good in front of the net. This guy's really good at moving the puck. Let's put them in positions to succeed instead of trying to shoehorn them in somewhere or asking them to change their games and do something they're not comfortable with. He's been great in that regard. And the team's bought in. They liked his high intensity at camp. Players want to be coached. I know we always hear about how, Gen Z doesn't want to be told what to do. They don't want to be coached. It's not true. These guys want to get better and they want to be great. And you're also seeing the maturation and growth of young players. Like Connor Bedard, we forget, is still only 20 years old.
True.
And he had an incredibly focused offseason, where I think in years past, you've got a young guy who has never really been challenged before in his hockey career. And then he gets to the NHL and says, oh, wait a minute, this is not as easy as it was the prior, 18 years of my life. So he's had to adjust, and he's been one of the best players in the league too. So it's all starting to come together. We're starting to see the fruits of the rebuild come to Chicago and contribute. And I think that's why it looks and feels different.
In that conference in the West, the Blackhawks are among the teams people talk about now. And it's not like it was the last few years where it was an afterthought that they would have some say and make some noise in the West. They're close to being talked about for a wild card. And them and Edmonton are kind of like the same team. It is mind-blowing to me that this is actually happening. I remember those Stanley Cup years. I think we tend to act like that was a million years ago. It really wasn't.
No.
It wasn't that long ago. And those teams were built with big defensemen, strong dudes who could block a puck, who could also skate very well. Yeah. Connor Bedard, Nazar, to me, and Spencer Knight as well. And I guess you could even throw in Donato. They've got a very specific job to do on this team. What do we need to see, or what do you think we need to see when we can start talking about the Hawks moving up a level? Is it really Jeff Vashel and this group of kids who mature on the ice? Is it adding another player later in the season? What do you think has to happen in order for us to start going, okay, this is starting to look like a playoff team and not a wild card team?
Yeah. Well, I think it's safe to say this team has moved up a level this year. Whether or not that's playoffs remains to be seen. I still think it's pretty unlikely they're a playoff team. You've got some teams, like you mentioned, Edmonton, who's gotten off to a slower start than usual. Some other teams that have gotten off to slow starts that we all know are better than they're playing. And if you look at some of the underlying numbers, the Hawks have been a little bit lucky in terms of like shooting percentage and things like that. So there should be a bit of a correction coming for them. But like I said earlier, like I think a lot of people, when the Hawks got Connor Bedard, thought it was going to be the beginning of the next dynasty, right? Like it was when Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane arrived. And I understand why people feel that way because let's be real, like the way the Blackhawks were before Kane and Toews got here, there were 5,000 people in that building, and the games weren't on TV, and they were dead in the water. That franchise was voted the worst in sports. So people flat out missed Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook being drafted, and the Patrick Sharp trade, and all the things that were happening under the surface and in the minor leagues. Kane and Toews were the last pieces to. Well, I guess Hossa was the last piece.
Yeah.
But Kane and Toews were, the last pieces of the rebuild in Chicago to join. So they joined at the end when everybody else had developed. The way Connor Bedard arrived is he is the first piece. So now you need the guys behind him, like Nazar. You saw, Artem Lefshon has been playing for the Hawks this year. He was a number 2 overall pick. Not last summer, but the summer before.
Yes.
Sam Renzel's a first-round pick. He's come up playing. Oliver Mortis got called up, played his second game. So all these guys that were drafted in the same draft or after Bedard have now arrived and are starting to, okay, Connor's got a 2-year start on those guys. Now they need to catch up to him. So in 3 or 4 years, when all these draft picks arrive, they're all playing. And who knows how good they're all going to be, but they've had so many. And when you look back, if you look at what they're doing in college, in junior hockey or whatever, they're all thriving. They're all doing great. Like Roman Kantsarov is a player in Russia. He leads the Russian league in goals. He's coming next year. Anton Frundell, who was the number 1 pick this year, is playing in Sweden as a kid, and he's dominating like a men's league in Sweden. So all these guys that they have drafted are killing it at their lower levels. So the thought is that they're all on schedule. They're all performing as expected. And in 3-4 years, when they're all here, the Hawks are going to be a juggernaut. So to answer your question, I guess a long-winded way would be we just really have to wait for all these picks to get here. The way hockey's gone, the salary cap's gone way up. So it's allowed teams to keep some players they thought they weren't really going to be able to. So the big free agent like Hossa is going to be harder to find. They're just not going to reach the market. So that's why it's such a good thing that Kyle Davidson acquired all these draft picks and has done such a good job so far of getting them developed.
So I shouldn't be looking for Connor McDavid anytime soon to pop up in a Hawk sweater.
I that would be wonderful if that happened. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know. Look, so he signed a 2-year extension. So the Oilers have 3 years basically to win a cup or he's walking.
Right.
And at that point, in 3 years, I can't think of a place that would be more appealing for a guy like Connor McDavid, who is tired of waiting for a Stanley Cup. That's the same story as Marian Hossa. As he was cup chasing. Remember, he went to Pittsburgh, lost to Detroit.
Yes.
Then went to Detroit, lost to Pittsburgh, and said, enough of this. I'm going to Chicago long term because I see the writing on the wall, and he won 3 here. Maybe in 3 years, when Connor McDavid, if he reaches free agency, looks to Chicago and says, I am the missing piece for this team. If I go there, they're going to win Stanley Cups. Let's go.
And that's why I don't think it's
not
as
impossible.
I don't think it's as far-fetched as people have really dated. Like, he's never coming here. I'm like, Hossa was on the same thing. He wanted that cup and he couldn't get it. He went to 2 teams that he played for both of them the year before and couldn't get that cup. Came here, Blackhawks win. So I think you might be right. Oh, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. We're with Jay Zawaski. Jay Zawaski is with CHGO. They cover sports really good in Chicago, man. You guys are doing a killer job.
Thank you.
Your former home, The Score, friends of yours, Jason Goff and Lawrence Holmes, are part of the Brothers for Hockey movement, as am I. And I am really glad to see players like Frankie Nazar, who I think that's my favorite Blackhawk right now. And the easy one would to say, "Oh, Connor Bedard." I like Connor Bedard a lot, and I think he hasn't even begun to fight like he's going to, and be really, really dumb good. But Frankie Nazar is in it, man. He's fast. He handles a puck very well, and he can shoot. And he's always trying. He been a little bit of a slump the past few nights, but he's always on it. And his shots on goal are 5 shots a game, something like that. He's not messing around. And then I think about my second favorite team in the league, the Sharks, San Jose Sharks, and Macklin Celebrini. They're not the same player, but the same kind of mentality, always trying to figure out a way to score. Players like that, when you have a team like the Blackhawks or a team like the Sharks that are young, they absolutely need somebody like a Jeff Vashel to kind of calm them down a little bit and get them going. Do you? And you actually said it already, but I'll just ask again. Do you think in 4 years, 5 years, we start talking about, man, this is them on trying to get their second cup or trying to the Blackhawks are on it. They're on their way. I'm not mistaken in that assessment, am I?
No, not at all. I mean, look, it is very hard to win a Stanley Cup. Let's make no mistake.
Absolutely.
Before 2010, it was 1961 that the Hawks won a Stanley Cup, and I know like the years before Kane and Taves arrived were rough, but remember, you had an era of Chris Chelios, Jeremy Roenick, Dennis Savard, Steve Larmer, Eddie Belfour. These are all Hall of Fame or Hall of Fame worthy players that wore the Hawk sweater for a long time and couldn't get it done. Doug Wilson, Al Secord, Dirk Graham. It goes on and on and on of real legitimately superstar players that were not able to win a Stanley Cup here. So I'll say this. In 3 years, I think they will be strong Stanley Cup contenders.
Wow.
Whether or not they win a Stanley Cup remains to be seen, because you just talked about the Oilers. Connor McDavid is the best player in the world.
Yep.
His teammate Leon Draisaitl is probably third or fourth at worst in the
Another
world.
one of my favorite players too.
Yeah. So like, you can have all the pieces and still not get it done. So before we start talking about multiples, let's talk about one. But in 3-4 years, they're going to be right there with your San Jose Sharks, by the way, of the teams competing for Stanley Cups. And look, they've done it the right way. And I don't know if it's given Kyle Davidson a little too much credit to say, like, maybe he saw this free agency coming and maybe he saw this cap growth coming and knew, hey, look, free agents aren't going to be available, so I need to get as many draft picks as I can get and get as much draft capital as I can get, so I'm in a good position to win when the time comes. But it worked out that way. Whether he knew it was coming or not, it worked out that way. And if people are like just thinking about checking out the Hawks, just getting started now, like jumping back on the bandwagon, I'll tell you, it's a good time because there's still room. There's still tickets available.
Yes.
Right. But this is the ground floor, right? If you want to say you were there on the ground floor of this resurgence, now is the time, because all these young dudes are here or they're coming soon, and they're going to be really, really solid. Like Connor Bedard, it gets lost. Like he's like third or fourth in the league in scoring overall. Like he's at a 105-point pace this year.
That's a lot for him.
And this is a guy who people were, after 2 years, like he's a bust. He didn't live up to the hype. Well, he's living up to the hype now, and no one seems to want to notice it. So, look, he put the work in. He is a totally different player than he's been the last 2 years, and he's going to lead this thing. And I think he's excited to do it. I think he's hungry to do it. It's a kid who wants to win. After that big win against the Blues on national TV, him and Nazar sat down with the TNT crew, and they basically said, like, we're not thinking about 3-4 years from now. We want to win now.
Yep.
We're here to win right now. And I love that mentality from them.
Me too, man. The Hawks are on a really long road trip. They aren't back in the UC until Wednesday against the Devils. This can do nothing but help by them being on the road in terms of building camaraderie. I think about when the Bulls in the Jordan years, the year they won that first one, that the circus trip when they were out of the United Center and they were on the West Coast. That seemed to change the mentality of that team because they were forced to be with each other and be around each other and get to learn each other. Do you think the same thing might be happening now? Because this is a very long road trip that they're on.
I think it's definitely a good thing. You know, I will say you mentioned Nazar slumping. This is the first time he's been on a road trip this long, and I think these are sort of when we talk about player development. It's not just about how they perform in games; it's how they handle off the ice stuff, how they handle their schedules, how they handle those things. And I think he's kind of going through. He's not doing anything wrong, but it's the first time he's been through this, so he has to learn how his body's going to react to long trips like this. So I think that's a valuable lesson for not just him, but for all these guys saying, wow, like this is really different from college or junior or whatever. I've never done anything like this before. That's good. Also, you are forced team bonding. You're together with these guys all the time. And I've been really impressed with when they started the season with a pretty home heavy schedule, how tight knit they were playing, like guys standing up for each other, dropping the gloves after, Nazar got hit and guys were jumping in right away to fight.
Yes.
Even Connor Bedard has mixed it up a few times. And now you give them this 6-game road trip out west with nothing to do but spend time together because, Winnipeg, probably not the most exciting road town. They're going to Calgary. Like maybe they go to the rodeo, check that out.
Probably.
But, you know what I mean? Like there's just not a ton to do except hang out with each other. So I think that these things can be really healthy, really helpful. And look, if they're able to beat Calgary, who's really struggling this year, they've got Detroit on Sunday in Detroit. Detroit's had a really good start to the year. But if you win one and lose one of those, you feel pretty good about the trip. I think they come home heads held high, feeling good with this homestand in front of them.
CHGO is where you can find Jay Zawaski. He is the dude. Anytime I can get anybody on this show that I've had the pleasure of listening to on the radio before, or that I've become, even if it's just internet friends with, I'm going to get them on. And Jay has been very gracious with his time because I know you got a million things to do, man. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Real quick before I end it, I want to go to some games at the United Center. I'm thinking about this game that's when they get back home next week against New Jersey. And it's a national game too. What kind of, and it's late. What kind of team are the Blackhawks going to be facing when they see New Jersey when they come home?
Very young. So if we're talking about the Blackhawks in 3 or 4 years, that's kind of what the Devils are now, right? They had the number 1 pick, Jack Hughes, a few years ago. His brother Luke is a defenseman on the team, but they've had high picks like Nico Hischier come up. They are first place in the Metropolitan Division. They're 9-4-0. They're a really good team, a lot of speed, a lot of skill. They're definitely worth the price of admission. So if you're looking for a preview of what the Hawks might be in a few years, the New Jersey Devils are it.
I might have to do that. I think I'm going to try to go to that game.
You should.
I think I am. I got to do a tour of the CHGO loft, wherever you guys are living.
Yeah, we're basically Madison or Racine.
Oh, I know exactly what building that is.
So we're like 7. So every home game we're there covering the game. I leave after the second period, get in my car in Lot A, drive down Madison, park, and I'm in the studio for the start of the third. That's how close we are to United
That's
Center.
really close. I know
Yeah,
exactly what building that is. Yeah, it's got to be cool. It's got to be cool. Thank you so much for being on today, and especially considering that I hit you at the last minute. I really appreciate it, man, and I will have you back on here soon when we start talking about the Blackhawks and the playoffs this year and not 3 years from now. Man.
Let's hope so. I'm here for you, man. You know that anytime.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it, brother.
You're welcome.
Jay Zawaski, everybody. You can find Jay on CHGO Sports, and they are on YouTube. And get involved, man. And this Blackhawk team is going to be good. Don't be a schmuck. Follow them. Do it. Thanks, Jay.